that's beside the point. But anyway. Hey, it's Sue in the restricted section. I'm putting up a video at the beginning of the week this week because Megan has been sick all weekend and is still kind of sick, so unfortunately we didn't get to record anything, but I think we're probably going to try to put up a Toil and Trouble-a-thon wrap-up later on when hopefully Megan is feeling better. But anyway, today I'm going to go ahead and do my review of my March TBR jar pick. Yes, I'm behind. Which was the Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I kind of partially blame this book for making me get behind because it took me for fucking ever to read it because I, spoiler alert, did not like it. It was a slog to get through. But this is about this man. He's a physicist named Shevek, and he lives on this planet that is like an anarchist communist society. So they have no government, but everyone, you know, works together, shares everything, and everyone does their part. And he's finding that he doesn't really fit in on this planet. He's got all these ideas that are just getting shut down because they don't really go along with the whole philosophy that their planet was founded on. And they're very rigid with sticking to that. And so he decides to travel to this other planet. He goes to this planet, which is the area where he is, at least, is a capitalist society. But basically he wants to bring these two planets together. He wants to share his ideas and make it easier for all the planets in the surrounding area to travel and work together with each other. But both of these two planets, his home planet, just doesn't want any outsiders on their planet. They don't want to, they'll share amongst each other, but it's like them for themselves. They don't want anything from the outside coming in. And then this other planet just wants to make money off of it. So they want to keep it for themselves so that they can get rich. Anyway, that maybe was too long of an explanation. So this book, for me, my problem with it was that I found Shevek, the main character, who's the only well-developed character in this whole story. Every other character is basically there to further Shevek's story. I found him to be extremely dull. I didn't want to read about him because I mostly thought he was boring. But I also didn't really like him that much. He was like, oh, I'm so brilliant, and I don't know, he annoyed me. And also I was really disappointed because I was kind of expecting and hoping for this to have good representation of women, especially since it was written by a woman. And at the very beginning there's this whole, Shevek has this whole, it's in the inner monologue where he's thinking he doesn't understand why this capitalist planet, they think of women as inferior. And he doesn't understand that because on his planet everyone's equal. And so he goes on this whole inner monologue of like not understanding why they would sort of not use the knowledge that half of their population has, because to him, women are just as smart and capable as men. He says all that at the very beginning, but then I feel like none of that was actually represented in the book, because at one point, like, he does sort of get married. They don't really have marriage on his planet, but he and another woman bond and they live together and have children together. And she very much like has to take care of him and accommodate him, which seemed like a traditional housewife type of role. I mean, meanwhile, she was still contributing her part. She was also a scientist. But yeah, she definitely had to like tiptoe around him, I guess because he was so brilliant, whatever. And then later on, when he's on this other planet, he sexually assaults a woman. And I was like, what? He was drunk, and I feel like maybe she was trying to show how like this society has corrupted him and whatever, I don't know. But yeah, he gets drunk and sexually assaults a woman. Up until that point, like, I didn't love him as a character, but I I thought he was alright. I thought he was at least like a good dude, and then that happened and I was like, oh fuck this dude, seriously, fuck this guy. And so since the book is pretty much just about him and his life, sorry I had to plug my camera in so it's probably much closer to my face now because I had to reach the outlet. But anyway, the book goes back and forth from past to present, so it even goes into like his childhood and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't care about this guy. I don't care about him. And you know, the dynamic between the two planets was kind of interesting because they're so different, and seeing, you know, she definitely presents negatives about both planets. However, I do think she was definitely more showing the evils of capitalism versus, you know, communism. I also do think that she was just like really preachy with that aspect as well, and so those parts were just kind of dry, and I don't know, I just really did not enjoy this, and I was so expecting to because I've heard so many good things about this, and so it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, am I dumb? Is that why I'm not enjoying this? Am I too stupid to enjoy this and I'm just not getting it? But then it actually made me feel a lot better because Michael from Knowledge Lost told me that he didn't enjoy this book either, and he's a really intelligent person, so I was like, okay, I think I'm alright. But yeah, I don't understand why anyone would enjoy this, to be honest with you. It's kind of one of those that I'm like, I really, like, sometimes I'll read a book and I get that it's just not for me, but this is one of those that I'm like, I don't understand why anyone likes this, because it was so hard, it was so difficult for me to get through, and it's not a very long book. It's almost, this edition is almost 400 pages, but look how big the font is. Like, it should not have taken me that long. It took me over a month to finish this goddamn book. And yeah, it was rough. So, I don't know. I don't know if I just am not a fan of her writing style. I've read 2 other books by her, but they were both fantasy. They were part of the Earth-Sea cycle, the first 2 books in the Earth-Sea cycle. And the first one of that one, I didn't really like that much either. And again, it was because I didn't care about the main character. I didn't feel like I just was like, I don't care about this dude. I don't want to read about him. But the second book, I actually did enjoy. I don't know, maybe she doesn't write male characters well, because the second book in the Earthsea series, the main character is a woman. And I found that book to be a lot more interesting than the first book, which was about a man. And this book was about a man. But most of her books are about men, I'm pretty sure. So I'm like, if she wasn't good at writing books about men, like writing male characters, I feel like she wouldn't be as celebrated as she is. I don't know. I don't know what my problem is with her at this point. And I did, like, you can see that I did tab a few places in this book, because when I was first reading it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do like an analysis of this. But then, like, partway through, I just got like so disgusted with it, kind of, that it was just like such a chore to read. I should have DNF'd it, probably. I probably should have DNF'd it. But I didn't, because I just felt like I needed to see it through. I needed to see the Ursula K. Le Guin through. About halfway through, I was like, fuck this tabbing thing. And there was a character called BDAP, I think his name was. I don't know, there's all kinds of weird, stupid names in it too that I don't know. Sometimes that annoys me a little bit with sci-fi novels. Like, do you really have to make up all this shit? Like, a little bit is not a big deal, but I don't know, sometimes it just sort of almost takes away from the story in a way, I think, because I'm like trying to remember these weird ass names for stuff, so for people and things. So anyway, yeah, there was a character named BDAP who, like, I wish the story had been about him, because I thought he was a really interesting character. But Shevek just bored the shit out of me. Like, I didn't give a fuck about him. And then he pissed me off. Like, he eventually just made me angry. And he does, like, redeem himself at the end, I guess. I mean, not really redeem himself, because how can you really redeem yourself from sexually assaulting someone? But he does a good thing at the end, I guess I'll say. So if you've read this, especially if you read it and liked it, like, let me know why. Like, let me know your thoughts, because I really just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I did give it 2 stars as opposed to 1 because I feel like I reserve 1 star for like books that just like are so bad that I just feel like a deep hatred for them, kind of. Maybe not a deep hatred, but just like have no redeeming qualities really, or very few. And this one, like, it wasn't a terrible book, I guess, but it just was dull mostly. Very just tough to get through because I didn't care. Mostly. I just didn't care. So that's my review of The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. I'm hoping to get caught up on my TBR jar picks this month. My next one that I need to finish, which was my April pick, is The Chrysalids by John Wyndham, which I'll hopefully be able to start reading right after the Toil and Trouble-a-thon is over. There'll be links below where you can find Megan and I other places on the internet. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.